Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew here, and today we'll be doing a comparison between the 180 RPM precision hand cannons and all the more traditional hand cannons in Destiny 2. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to prove that precision hand cannons are better than the traditional hand cannons, but I don't see many players using precision hand cannons too often, and especially with some very interesting ones like the Luna's Howl and Malfeasance coming with the launch of Forsaken. I thought I'd take a video to talk about these underused precision hand cannons and what sets them apart. So with this video, I'll be providing a small breakdown and comparison, as well as my tips for utilizing the 180 RPM precision hand cannons. In terms of time to kill, you can see all the numbers on the screen right now. I'm not going to bother going through all of them. You can read them out if you like, but I did include my projections to how these hand cannons will behave come Forsaken. There isn't any numbers available for the 150 RPM hand cannons, so we can't really make a prediction on those, but you can bet that it's somewhere along those same lines as the 140 RPM hand cannons. I think these 180 RPM hand cannons have an advantage in the fact that they have a fast, competitive, optimal time to kill that, to mention in Forsaken, is expected to take only 50% precision, and in my opinion, is more than possible to land on a frequent basis. But the biggest advantage to me is that they also have a very competitive second time to kill step of 1.33 seconds, if you happen to miss that optimal time to kill. In Forsaken, it's expected that the second kill step will be the base time to kill, meaning all body shot time to kill for Guardians using under 5 resilience, which is as forgiving as viewing is currently, potentially more as a hand cannon. I'm prepared to see precision hand cannons be very good in Forsaken for the reason that they have a lot of room for error and are very forgiving. They don't take a lot of precision ratios to hit good time to kills that are still plenty competitive. In terms of initial accuracy, I noticed when comparing a 140 RPM hand cannon to the Aikilos 180 RPM hand cannon that the 180 hand cannon had a slightly tighter crosshair from the hip, which might mean that the initial accuracy of precision hand cannons are better than that of traditional ones, if only maybe by a slight bit. I think there was a noticeable difference in airborne accuracy as well. I was able to consistently land shots with the Aikilos hand cannon on a target while in the air, whereas with the old-fashioned, it was a little spotty. While I was in the air, I was firing up to 4 shots at a time with the Aikilos hand cannon, and in the majority of cases, they were all landing. As much as you have to currently in Destiny 2 land 4 critical shots to get a 1 second optimal time to kill with the precision hand cannons, the hitboxes are plenty big enough to allow you to do that. I'm not saying you're going to hit this every time, and you can hit this every time. I'm just saying that the hitboxes for these hand cannons, especially considering they have virtually no recoil, are pretty forgiving. Now let's talk about Rico Instability on hand cannons. Precision hand cannons have a very distinctly different recoil style from traditional hand cannons, and this is probably the biggest difference that you'll notice most while using them in comparison to a traditional hand cannon. The average hand cannon kind of flails up and to the right, over and away from your target, and requires compensation to require target and remain accurate, whereas the precision hand cannons kind of have a small visual bump and barely any actual recoil to compensate for in any way. Like I mentioned, precision hand cannons appear to have the same forgiving hitboxes that other hand cannons have, but at the same time, they have virtually no recoil other than a slight bounce in the weapon's model that seems to be mainly visual. Now, this allows you to aim for the upper body, head, or health bar area even, and consistently get critical hits without much need to compensate for any recoil, like I mentioned. This makes getting critical hits feel pretty effortless with these, and in Forsaken, I think there will be no problem achieving that optimal time to kill on a frequent basis, especially given the margin of error you have. The funny thing is that most people dislike the precision hand cannon stability model. Originally, it blocked your target too much, then it was outright broken on some weapons, but now it's in a place that I think is very usable and barely moves over your target at all. I think there are 2 main reasons people dislike the recoil on precision hand cannons, one being more of a mental kind of effect, and the other being more of a technical effect. Let's start by talking about that mental effect though. Hand cannons have had only one specific style of recoil since the beginning of Destiny 1. There are players that have been playing this game regularly for 5 years now, and especially after the popularity of hand cannons in Destiny 1, many players are very accustomed to the style of recoil and stability model that the traditional hand cannons use. Of course, for those that don't know, the precision hand cannons were introduced in Curse of Osiris in Destiny 2. They weren't even present at Destiny 2's original launch. Aside from that, even in Destiny 2, there are no other hand cannons that share that stability model or style of the precision archetype, other than I guess Crimson, which most would attribute to being more of a pulse rifle hybrid though. I believe Destiny players expect a certain feeling from hand cannons at this point, which is heavily attributed to the stability model of more traditional hand cannons, not the precision ones. I think that in order to excel with the 180 RPM hand cannons, you have to treat them or think of them as their own weapon type, like not even a hand cannon, and almost ignore what you currently know of hand cannons, at least as far as aiming and recoil compensation goes. Next would be the technical aspect. With the traditional hand cannon's recoil, even with a high stability hand cannon, there are larger gaps between each individual shot than most weapons. I think this requires players to compensate for the large gaps from the recoil, and in my experience, make equally sized flicks and snaps to recoil their target and land each shot. Precision hand cannons somewhat throw this away and adapt the recoil model more similar to other weapons in the sandbox. In addition to this, they fire at 180 RPM, of course, the highest rate of fire of all the hand cannons. The pretty much non-existent recoil means that there's less adjustment needed while shooting a target, with a focus on more fine crosshair movements and less drastic flicks and snaps. The fast rate of fire also means you're required to have more time with your crosshair on your opponents to land at least 4 shots to kill. In my opinion, precision hand cannons emphasize better tracking and fine movements, which, to tie back to my earlier point, goes against what I think most players expect when using a hand cannon in Destiny, which is flicks and snaps. What I've done to improve and become more competitive with precision hand cannons is focusing on more tracking and just those fine movements as I mentioned. This means, for a controller player at least, doing less flicks and snaps and really focusing on more slight adjustments based on how your target's moving. The biggest thing I do when using a precision hand cannon, and even Crimson, is utilizing my left stick, which is in control of my player movement, to aim and make those fine movements for me rather than my right stick, and allow me to track a target a lot easier. The best strafe, in my opinion, is the one that lets you land the most shots accurately on a target, and using your character movement to track and make fine movements is pretty valuable in my opinion. I'd suggest finding a mobility level that you find yourself most comfortable with and helps you be as precise as possible. I'd also advise against spamming your shots and focus more on placing your shots accurately until you're more comfortable with the hand cannon. Like I mentioned, I think that precision hand cannons are really a unique weapon type of their own, combining that high damage, versatility, and forgiving hitboxes of a traditional hand cannon with some nice precision bonuses and a recoil style that's more associated with other weapons in the sandbox. What I like most about these unique hand cannons is they offer a degree of consistency that, in my opinion, hasn't existed much in the Destiny 2 sandbox. They have a fast potential time to kill with competitive kill steps to make them not incredibly punishing. They have pinpoint accuracy with a seemingly higher initial accuracy and less bloom, with very forgiving critical hitboxes and almost non-existent recoil, again reinforcing their pinpoint accuracy. They have better airborne accuracy than most weapons, which in Forsaken will spare you an Icarus mod and lends to more consistency overall. So why is this information relevant now? Why do precision hand cannons matter now of all times? Well, I mentioned that in Forsaken I think they're going to be a lot more powerful than they are currently, and there's a few very unique and potentially very powerful 180 RPM hand cannons that might be popular, the most important one in my opinion being the Luna's Howl. The hand cannon Tocom was using in the Crucible reveal was a precision hand cannon called the Luna's Howl that had a perk that allows it to 3-tap in 0.66 seconds. I fully expect this weapon to be one of the best, and since then I've been focusing on understanding and improving with the 180 RPM hand cannons to be ready to use this weapon proficiently. I thought I'd share my thoughts and tips regarding the hand cannons, so I hope this is useful for you. Although it's expected that the Luna's Howl is going to be a random roll capable weapon, based on the stats on the reveal stream, it's best to use the Aikilo's hand cannon with a stability masterwork to emulate how the new hand cannon might feel and match the stats of the one that Tocom was using on the stream. Anyways, as I said, I hope you guys found this video useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the precision hand cannon, so leave them in the comments below. And as always, it's been Drew here today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.